Hey friends, it is Saturday afternoon at about 12:15. Super excited to talk to you today about a topic I'm real passionate about. We're going to be talking about personal responsibility and why personal responsibility is king in your life, and if it's not, it should be. We're going to talk about why. And we're going to talk about a couple of different scenarios where personal responsibility is really, really important. Hi there. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Julie. Hi, Aaron. Can't wait to see a lot of you later this week. Hi, Jamie Marie. This is kind of an odd time to do a scope, but I have a party in just a little bit, so I thought, well, I'm just going to hop on. And I'm just going to talk about something I'm real passionate about. Good morning, Mr. Klaus. All right, so let me turn this around. Hi, good morning, or good afternoon, I suppose. We're going to talk about something I'm real passionate about today, and that is personal responsibility. I have found there's an epidemic, and we're going to address it today. Your hearts are blue. Well, that's appropriate, right? I really only want to see the blue, but I really wish they were a darker shade of blue. If you're just joining me, if I've never had you on a scope today, in the past, my name is Tricia Edmondson, and I'm a National Executive Director with 31. I have what I consider to be a dream job. I get to work from home, and I get to help other people reach their dreams. So doesn't get much better than that. And the best part is I still get to teach and train like I used to do in my former job. Back before I became a professional bag lady, I was a teacher. And so I still get to do that as well with my team. What I'm going to do, you saw this quote, everything in your life is a reflection of a choice you have made. If you want a different result, make a different choice. Ouch, right? Sometimes that steps on people's toes. I have a little story I want to read to you before I kind of get into my message. You love my hair. Thank you. Before I get into my message, I have a little story I want to read from one of my favorite leadership books. It's probably not going to be a surprise. It's Leading with the Heart by Coach K. And this little message is going to be about personal responsibility. And it's a story about him when to kind of give you a little background, he went to West Point. Prior to being the coach of Duke. So that's where he went to school. And this is going to just be a little bit of a story about how he learned about personal responsibility at an early age. Then we're going to talk about how we can apply this to our business and our life. All right. So this is what he says. Let me give you an example of an incident that I'll take with me till the day I die, and probably wherever I go after that. I was walking across an open area with my roommate. We were in our uniforms and we were required to walk in a straight, erect manner. Well, my roommate stepped on a puddle of water and splashed a little bit of mud on my shoes. We kept on walking, and suddenly I heard the worst word in the world that a pledge can hear. "Halt!" commanded one of two upperclassmen coming towards us. Oh, damn, I thought. They're not coming over to say, "How you doing?" Well, these two guys take a look at my roommate and say, "You're okay." Then they look at me and they see my name tag. "What the hell is your name?" one of them asked. "Shashevsky, sir." "What kind of name is that?" I didn't say anything. "Well, Mr. Alphabet, or whoever you are, your shoes are cruddy. You're a crud ball. How did that happen?" Now, in real life, 99% of the people would want to explain what happened. "Look, we're walking across the area," I wanted to say, "and my knucklehead roommate stepped in a puddle and got mud on my shoes. It's not my fault." But at West Point, that story is not acceptable. So my answer was, "No excuse, sir." That's right, you have no excuse. They told my roommate to get going, and for the next few minutes, one of these upperclassmen just reamed me out. Then he wrote me up, and of course I received demerits for having mud on my shoes. So when I finally got back to the dorm, I was angry at my roommate. "Look at what you did to me," I screamed. "Look what happened." Well, after a couple more meetings and more weeks of training, I began to look at that entire incident from a different perspective. When my roommate stepped in that puddle and splashed mud on my shoes, I had a choice to make. Do I continue, or do I go back and change my shoes? What my roommate did was something that I had no control over. But the next event was my decision to make. They were my shoes, and I was responsible for them. I kept walking and took the chance that I wouldn't be caught. I could have gone back, but I didn't. That was my choice. The truth is, I had no right to be mad at my roommate. I could have been mad. I should have been mad at myself. And later, when I understood the reality of the situation, I was angry with myself. That was a huge lesson for me. So how does that lesson translate to what I do now as a coach and a leader? Well, no matter what happens, it's my team. I'm responsible. There's no excuse. That's how I feel, and that's how I act. Wow. I don't know if that speaks to you like that speaks to me on this topic of personal responsibility, but for me, that speaks volumes. There's no excuse. I love how he said that he had the choice after it happened of what he was going to do and how he was going to react to the situation. He made that choice, and maybe that was the wrong choice. But in the end, it was his choice, his responsibility, and he could not make excuses about it. So what I want to talk to you today, I want to talk to you about personal responsibility. And I want to talk to you about two situations where you can have personal responsibility. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that I think that there's kind of an epidemic going on in America, and it's called the blame game. We blame people for everything. You know, if we are overweight, we blame the people that make the Cheetos, when instead we should be blaming ourselves, because it's our hand that has to reach into the bag and put the damn Cheetos in our mouth. Am I right? So we're constantly blaming people. We blame them for two reasons. The first thing that we blame them for is our failures. Okay? How many of you can relate? Have you ever been blamed for someone else's failure? As a teacher, you know, everything that I do, I kind of relate back to the classroom because I taught for 8 years. I taught first grade and I taught second grade. But yeah, I mean, I can remember as a teacher being blamed by parents whose children were struggling. Even though I was coming in at the butt crack of dawn, I was staying till, way past the, time I should have been in school. But you know what? We're constantly blaming people for everything. I'm seeing some funny comments. Yes, and I see a lot of amens and preach. But we're constantly blaming people instead of taking responsibility and really taking control of the problem. Like Coach said, he could have blamed his roommate, but he had the choice to go back to his room and change his shoes. That's what he should have done. The parents that might have blamed me for their children's difficulty, even though I was busting my tail trying to help them each and every day, they maybe should have stepped in and said, how can I help? Come alongside me, take my hand. So instead of blaming me, we're instead working together as a team to give them double what they need. But you know what? And yes, give each other grace. But you know what? People are constantly blaming each other for things that are outside of their boat. One of my favorite things that I learned at our Presidential Advisory Council a couple years ago was a story that you can only control the things that are within your boat. I can't control the water. I can't control the wind. I can't control if there's a hurricane coming. And yes, Melanie, it is very much a victim mentality. If it's not inside your boat, you can't control it. So you have to let go of it. Alrighty? Let's talk about responsibility in failure. Wherever you are in your life, whether you're talking about your personal life, whether you're talking about your business, maybe you work in direct sales, I don't know what you do. But wherever you are in your life, whatever goals you're working towards, you're responsible for them. Whether you fail or whether you succeed, and we're going to talk about succeeding in just a minute. But you cannot blame others for your efforts. Let's relate it to my business now. We talked a little bit about my business back when I was a teacher and my children. And yes, while you do have to be held accountable, we cannot blame others, okay, for things that are out of their control. So let's look at my business now in direct sales. I lead a team of 700 ladies across the nation, and they are all really working their business. I can teach, recruit, book, sell all day long. The point that I'm trying to make is that I can give a horse water, but I can't make them drink. Or I can give my team the knowledge, but I can't make them think, right? I can give them all that I got, and I do. But there's always going to be some that are not willing to put in the effort to make it happen. And we cannot blame ourselves for that. They cannot blame us for that, because when it comes right down to it, I can tell them how to book parties. I can tell them how to sell. I can tell them how to recruit. I can tell them all these things. But when it comes right down to it, I can't go do their parties. I can't sell the product for them. I can't get on the phone and call their people. I can't offer the opportunity to others. I can't make them do the work. So while we can give people all the resources in the world, while we can give them everything that they need to be successful, we can't make them implement the things we're telling them. We are responsible to them, not for them. Thank you, Klaus. Another Andrea-ism that I absolutely love. We are responsible to our teams, but we are not responsible for our teams. They have to have the vision, and they have to want it bad enough to take the action. They have to want to get out of their comfort zone. We can walk beside them. We can hold their hand. We can show them the path, but we can't make them walk down it. I always tell my team, it's kind of like if you think about a ladder. Think about a ladder analogy. I cannot push someone up a ladder. I can stand behind them. I can brace them. I can catch them if they fall. But I can stand behind the people on the ladder. I can coach them. I can say, all right, pick up your left foot. Pick up your right. Pick up your left. Pick up your right. But guess what? I cannot make them lift that foot. I cannot make them lift that foot. They have to be willing to go rung to rung and move. And yes, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you're not going to make them both at the same time. Okay? That's a little bit of how I'm feeling about personal responsibility and failure. We have to be willing to accept that personal responsibility in failure. Same with me. Like I said the other day when we talked about backdoor excuses, we talked about these excuses we make that prevent us from reaching our potential. We talked a lot about that the other day. It was really deep. I have to look at myself in the same light. I've accomplished tons of things in my business, but you know, everything that we do comes with sacrifices. And I got to where I am I shared in another Periscope, by working in little nooks and crannies, because my son just went to kindergarten this year. He was 4 months when I started. So I have worked my business in teeny tiny little nooks and crannies along the way. So of course, if I was doing that, I had to sacrifice other things. I sacrificed me time. I love to shop. I hadn't done a whole lot of shopping in the last 5 years. I love to work out. My husband would probably laugh if he heard you say that. But I have not done any of that in the last 4 years, because guess what? My time that I've had, if it's not going to my family, if I have an open block of time where I'm not with my family, I'm working. That's how I got to where I am, because I was willing to do the work and make the sacrifices. Okay? I was willing to do the work and make the sacrifices. Don't tell me you want what I have if you're not willing to do what I've done. Okay? That's one thing that I always tell to people. I've worked really hard. And so I have to, on that token, since it got me where I wanted to be, I have to also look and say, wow, I have really kind of neglected Trisha. I really need to get back into the gym. I need to find this fun time for me. I have a gym that right beside my office. It's like right over here. I don't use it. I need to get back to that. I need to be balanced. So responsibility and failure. We have to take personal responsibility and failure. If you believe in personal responsibility, you have to not only believe that you have to take that in failure, but you also have to believe that you have to take personal responsibility in success. Okay? So let me tell you what I mean by that. I do a lot of training for the company. I'm a founding national mentor, so I do 3 to 4 chats every month with aspiring leaders and leaders. I've done a lot of training at retreats. I've done training at national conference, and just kind of training that I do with my team. So I get a lot of messages from folks, and it fills my bucket so much. But I get these messages with people saying, With great success comes great power. Yeah, it sure does. But I get these messages from people and they're saying, thank you so much. I have promoted to director. I have yada, 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 whatever their goal is. And it's because of you. No. So that's where I stop them right there. And I say, thank you so much for that message. You have filled my cup. I am so grateful that I was able to benefit you and give you some tools and best practices. But I'm going to have to stop you right there. You did not succeed because of me. You're going to have to take the blame for your success. And those are the words that I use. Because if you truly believe that you have to take responsibility in failure, you also have to take responsibility in success. And that's what I see a lot of people don't do. They're quick to blame others for their failure, but they're not quick to take responsibility for their success. So I stop them. My bangs are totally getting on my nerves. I stop them and I say, look, this is your fault. Achievement, that's right. The achievement is on you. I gave you tools. I gave you best practices. And obviously I gave you some ideas that you were able to run with. But girl, you did the hard work. You put the work in. You were willing to do the work. You were willing to get out of your comfort zone and do what you needed to do to be successful. Personal responsibility. Too many people don't want to take the personal responsibility for themselves. I have never met someone that was super successful and it was all because of someone else. It doesn't happen that way. Now, you may have people that give you tools. You may have people that help you implement those tools. You may have people that teach you best practices. But yes, I love it. You gave them the kite and they were able to take it and fly. Love that. You helped them, but they did the nitty gritty. They were in the trenches. They did the hard work. Just as I can't go to someone and do their parties and take responsibility for their lack of success, I cannot attribute their success to me. Do I take joy in the fact that I helped them? Yeah, it's awesome. But I cannot say that they succeeded because of me. Is this message speaking to you guys? Is this something that anybody needed to hear? Is this helpful? I had this on my mind this morning when I woke up. So I'm just wondering, is this something that y'all are liking? Yeah? I know many of you guys may be leaders. I know many of you have families, whether you're a leader or whether you have a family or just in general life. I feel like this is a message that people need to hear. Because so many women in particular have a lot of problem. They don't have problem with the first one, most of them. But a lot of them have problem with the second. A lot of them feel like they cannot take responsibility for their own success because it feels icky to them. And I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. If you want something bad enough, you're going to achieve it no matter what your circumstances are. Just in the direct sales world, and I'll just think about my little pocket of people that I'm close friends with. Some of us come from incredible teams where there's lots of training offered and we get all these things that are offered to us. Some of us don't get diddly squat. I won't tell you which camp I'm in, but if I used excuses and if I was not responsible for my success, I would not be where I am today. So it's real important that we understand that we are a product of our own behaviors and our own choices. And we have to take responsibility for not only the failure, if we have it, and know that failure is just one step on the way to success. But we have to take responsibility for that failure and make the choices and implement the products and the programs that we need so that then we can turn it into success and then in turn take on that responsibility for our own success. So that was what I wanted to share with you today. If you liked this message, feel free to heart, or you can swipe up and down. If you have an Android, you can swipe right to left. If you have an iOS or an Apple device, and you can share that way. I'd love to have you come back and join me another day. If you want to like Trisha ETV, that's what I'm going to call it. I will be scoping from Mexico next week, maybe some from our Ultra experience. No telling what we're going to be doing that'll be super fun with Scott and Cindy. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I will be talking with you soon. Y'all have a fabulous weekend. I'm going to head out to my party here in just a little bit and have some fun with my peeps. Bye, friends. Edmondson out. Stay classy.